What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. So, I've had a lot of time to think about this. Obviously, I've been playing UFL since early release, and there's been several patches, but this March update, as we've been calling it, which 24 hours ago I was super excited about. I found out, because the way Strikers and UFL did it, they didn't tell us until literally yesterday. Like, they gave us just a day warning before the new update was coming out. So I was super excited. I read the notes, and everything in the notes told me this is going to be an amazing game. So I could not wait. I had my money ready to kind of partake in the St. Patrick's Day shenanigans on stream, just to show people what these packs were all about. Me personally, I didn't get anything. I know a lot of people did. Some people did put in a lot of money to get a lot of, stuff inside the game. But either way, that wasn't the point, right? That stuff was all cool. The customization has never been in question with UFL. They've always done a good job. The question was, is the gameplay going to be fixed now? Is the game going to be skill-based now? That was always the issue as the game went on. In early release, it's not like it was perfect, but you definitely could see potential. And the beauty of what UFL did at early release was they had a game that was very manual, that was very open, and you could have fun and score goals freely and play different tactics and setups, and there was no, exploits that you had to do because the defense was broken, which was the case when early release UFL came out, right? Because it was pre-patch era of FC, and the game wasn't fixed yet. So UFL had a great opportunity to, take a lot of the players that were either done playing FC or were just totally upset with how the direction FC was going, right? And as we all know, big patch came on FC, similar to what, the cases with UFL, where it was sort of make or break. A lot of players were done with both games at the time when they both decided to do their quote-unquote big patches. Now, this is where the two development companies differ, because FC, while they do have much more experience, right, and much more money, and they did succeed at their big patch. I mean, they totally transformed FC 25 from one of the worst games ever to, in my opinion, the best. I mean, it's been incredible. If you want to argue that it's not the best, it's one of the best. Whereas UFL, even though it's more fresh, it just came out today, but after a 5-hour stream, I can tell you for certain, based on what I seen and what I didn't see, it was nowhere near the update notes. Nowhere near. You could definitely say improvements, because it wasn't hard to improve the game based on where UFL was, which is what you're seeing in the background. This is pre-patch. You could see how deep the defense is. You could see that players are just sitting, in the box, and you see I was able to take advantage of it here. And that wasn't even as bad. It gets way worse, but that was just an example of it. Many times people were playing like a 5-3-2, for instance, and you literally have no space to get anywhere near the goal. Whereas you see in FC, it's wide open play, right? You can pass the ball and it will go where you want it to go. That's a problem in UFL. You can play any type of through ball. In UFL, the most important pass, the ground through ball, is totally random. They said they fixed it. If anything, maybe they tweaked it a little bit, but it's still, you're not able to play it through the gaps between the defense, which is the number one place you'd want to play a through ball. So I could go on and on and on about where the notes said the game did one thing and, how it plays is a whole nother thing. However, I didn't want to do that, because we already know, as players play, they'll know too, that the game's just not going to be at the level that we expected. Strikers, after 4 patches, has shown that they just can't take the game to anywhere near an FC level, anywhere near a level where it takes the skill necessary to attract players that, want a skill-based game like myself. Therefore, this is the direction I want to go with this video. There are absolutely players who are going to have fun with UFL, right? I'm not saying it's a game that everybody hates, but it is a game that is definitely for a certain type of football gamer. Whereas FC and eFootball are for, can fit that same type of gamer, but it can also cater to a level of gamer that UFL can't. So let me clarify what I mean by that. When you play UFL, you get a very streamlined feeling, a very simplified feeling, right? The defenders, their movements aren't very fluid. The attack, their movements aren't very fluid. It's a very simple cut left, cut right, keep going until the defender overcommits, and then dribble. When you tackle, it's a very clean, like win the ball, run forward. When you beat a defender, you simply go up to the defender. Maybe you do a rainbow, which every player can do, or like I said earlier, you cut left and right until the defender overcommits, and then you do a speed burst past the defender. There isn't much in the way of the defenders jockeying. They're constantly switching. They might double team you. In the meantime, the attacking team might make a manual run. They might try to call a player 2 and do a give and go. There's just a lot going on. It's a lot more intricate. It's a lot more fluid. The game's constantly moving. If the defender makes a good play, right, and wins the ball, the attackers are immediately trying to win the ball back as the defenders who won the ball are working it up, and it's a back and forth game. Whereas in UFL, the defender wins the ball and they get an automatic, get out of jail free pass out of the back because there's pass lock. Like I said, it's very streamlined. You simply win the ball, you press pass, and you almost every time are going to get a connected pass because attributes for the pass don't really matter, which they said they were going to. It's just one of the many things that strikers said was going to be changed that wasn't. But in EAFC, when you make a pass right out of the back, the opposite team, the opposition, can already be changing to their defender and try to step on your attacker, in which case they're going to win the ball right back. Or if you don't play a perfect pass or you overpower it or underpower it, it's not going to go to the target. Right? It's much more intricate. It takes much more skill in every facet of the game. Even just watching, right, both games, there's no way that you can't see it. Even the way the passes go. Look at the way that through ball is played. It's very outdated compared to, you see this type of through ball, which I might add isn't even possible in UFL because it would go right at the defenders. You can't play any type of intricate pass. If the player running through isn't wide open with a ton of space, the through ball is pointless. Therefore, those through balls that you want to play between two defenders, which are the most important pass when creating chances, both in real life and video games, they aren't possible. So what I'm getting at is, up until this point, I had been putting out videos to talk about what strikers could do to make UFL a game that every player would want to play. And after this last update, I'm able to see that they just aren't at a level right now, maybe in the future, but they aren't at a level right now to truly give a game to attract the highest level of football gamers. The players that need the different intricacies of football gaming to be in the game to really push themselves, right? Otherwise, it's going to be boring. It's going to be one-dimensional, meaning play a ball to a attacker's feet, cut left and right until the defender overcommits, and then play it into a striker, take one touch and shoot. And to try to increase your chances of scoring, try to make sure that player has snapshot, right? You see this goal right here. I did a fake shot receive, turn. The defense it's not fluid, so my opponent's not able to react. I simply score, right? Everything is the same. There's no variation in the build-up where you're making all types of different runs, playing all types of different passes, and that's where the skill comes from, because on defense, you have to try to actively stop all these different ways to score. It's not like that in UFL, not to mention you are handcuffed a bit because many times your defenders aren't even capable of doing more intricate movements or intricate tackles, right? So I would strongly recommend UFL for those players who just can't play EAFC and find any success, right? If you're playing the game and you're working on improving, right, and you're maybe just at a lower level, a lower division, well, that's no problem. Of course, everyone's going to be at a different level, and you can always improve, right? Maybe you're not as good at manual runs. Maybe your precision finishing isn't there, but you're good at regular finishing. Maybe you just have to work on picking out the right pass. If that's the case, you definitely want to play EAFC, because the only difference is, instead of being like playing at the top level, you would simply just be playing at the lower divisions. But for those players who just can't find success, they've been trying and it just doesn't fit, maybe they just can't understand the concept within football gaming to and the intricacies of EAFC to get it right. That's where I would recommend UFL because it's much more streamlined. It's much more simplified, right? There's only a few main ways to score goals. You can simply pack your defense with players to where you barely have to do any manual work, and then you can still compete and not just get whooped and have a football game to play. That's UFL. That's for you. For those players who want an intricate game and want a skill gap so they can earn victories and so they can keep climbing and have games that are challenging, right, and that are still playing football and still skill-based, you're going to want to play EAFC because you just won't be satisfied playing UFL. Therefore, that's going to be my take from now on, meaning no more videos saying, strikers, we need this, we need this, we need this, looking for the game to match kind of how they've been marketing, right? I mean, they put it out there and wanted to compete with EAFC. They could have easily tailored their marketing towards being a simplified version of football, just an alternative option if you don't want to play EAFC, but they purposely came with the agenda of stealing players from EAFC and saying this could be your game instead. And it just can't, unless, like I said, you're a player that's just constantly struggling and you can't figure out EAFC, which is far different from players that just need to get better at EAFC. They understand it, but they need to get better. If you understand the game and you want to play a skill-based football game, then I would stick to EAFC. If you just simply can't get the intricacies of EAFC, then I would play UFL. Now, another side of it is the content side. Somebody brought up on stream earlier that, yes, FC just has a ton of content, which a lot of players love, but other players feel overwhelmed because it's so much to keep up with. Well, on one side, I can tell you, yes, that is true, but you don't need to keep up with all those things to compete. You don't need the newest promo player. You don't need, to buy the most expensive cards, and you can still dominate in FC because it's skill-based, right? Whereas in UFL, yes, it is simplified. But it isn't simplified in a good way. They need to add more. It's a very dry game. There's not much at all going on in the menus. They need to have something. Not as much as FC because FC has a lot. But if you're worried about the fact that you like UFL because there's just no extra players to worry about or promos or this and that, and because you don't have time, you think UFL is the game for you since you can't keep up with all the different stuff with FC. I'm here to tell you that that shouldn't be a case because you don't need to keep up with all these things to have a good team. You can simply build the team based on how much you grind, based on the rewards you get from the level you finish, right? And those rewards are going to get you a team that matches your level, right? Meaning if you get Division 4 rewards, are those as good as Division 1? No. But you're going to be competing with other players in Division 4 that got those same rewards. Yes, you'll get your few outliers that put a ton of money in to get the R9s and the, Ronaldinhos and whoever, but I can tell you right now that a lot of teams that I play like that just end up getting smoked anyway because, like I said, once again, it's a skill-based game. UFL, on the other hand, especially after the patch, seems very much more pay-to-play than ever, and I'll tell you what I mean. The number one thing as my stream went on that a lot of players were figuring out in this post-patch was you can't do as well with lower-rated strikers. And I'm not talking about like 60-rated. I'm talking about like Endrick, that's an 83, who I've been working up on my team, who had no problem ever before scoring simple breakaways. All of a sudden, he can't score anything, and people are saying, well, you need Mbappe. You need Haaland, right? You need a finesse shot with Son. And you need to take a specific type of shot to score. Well, right there, you're proving my point more than ever that, UFL is going in a bad direction because if you need to buy certain players just to compete, then I would strongly recommend that, unless you're willing to put in a ton of money, you don't play UFL anyway. That's how EAFC used to be, but now EAFC is not like that. So if that truly is the case, which I wasn't able to test out in the sense that I didn't just rush out and buy Mbappe because my Endrick couldn't score. I mean, that's where I'm drawing the line right there. Because I can come play with Hullet, who I packed, Butragueño, Real Madrid legend, who I packed, Adama Traore, whose evolutions got him at a 92 overall. Like, all these players that I didn't pay 1 cent for, I can come play for them as opposed to putting $70 in UFL to get Son and like Tchouaméni, and because I don't have like Mbappe or Jonathan David with a snapshot, I'm told like, oh, that's the way you got to score post-patch. Well, In that case, I'm not even going to say it's a game for players who just want a more simplified game. I would say it's only for players who aren't afraid to, or who are willing to put in a bunch of money just to be able to compete. So I got to add that in there. But if you take that side out of it and you just talk about gameplay, right, and the different commands and the different movements and things like that that you need to be successful in each game, I would summarize UFL for those players who want a simplified, less skills needed type of football game. And I would say EAFC is for those players that want a true to football experience that is more manual, that is more skill based, and that you can work at and improve on. But yes, it is going to take time. And like if it's skill based, you're going to need to work on getting those different skills, whether it's passing, shooting, defending, so on and so forth. Even goalkeeper movement, just everything in EAFC is going to take skill, but that means that you're going to have to put the time in to get better at each of these areas to find success in the game. Whereas UFL, it's simplified. It is less skill-based, right? And even some of the more simplified, commands don't properly work, such as, for instance, the through ball. Therefore, that's one less thing that you have to worry about improving at because it doesn't work. So, for instance, when you're in the attack, you don't have to think about which seam you want to play a through ball through. It doesn't work. So you're just going to call your player to you and play at their feet. And there's not very many varieties to score. Therefore, all you have to worry about learning is how to receive, touch to the side, and shoot. Very simple. And then if you want to enhance your chances, you go get a player with a snapshot at either the red level or one of the higher levels, or even at any level. But it's much more simplified. You get what I'm saying. There's not as much intricacies. There's not as many commands. And then you even have less commands when you look at UFL because some of the ones they have don't even work properly yet. Now, what does this mean for my channel? It means that I will be playing UFL in the sense of keeping my pulse on the game, right? And trying to provide those players that do play the game because, to be honest, it doesn't take much to help out with the best tactics, with the best ways to win and things like that. However, as a player, it's not a game for me. I need to stick to EAFC where I'm playing at the top level and where every time I sacrifice, game time to play, say, UFL or eFootball, I'm sacrificing chances to improve so I can get even further, where I can get more wins and more success in, say, tournaments and the FC Pro Ladder and things like that. So that's where, on a competitive level, I want to focus my energy and I can share my journey along the way and help players that aspire to get to this level. In the meantime, I can also help those players that are playing in UFL to succeed and to get to, for instance, top 10 in the world, or to get to the Premier Division, and so on and so forth, as well as helping those players that want to climb in EAFC or just get into maybe the ranked level of eFootball, because that's where I've gotten to. Now on the eFootball side, it's much more, hey, here's what helped me get to where I'm at. Here's what helped me understand the game coming from a lifelong FC player. And the bottom line is just there's so many players at different levels, and everybody that's looking for guidance, there's ways to get that guidance, and for me, I'm going to provide it in any and every game, right? You don't just have the best player in the world that's teaching players how to use their tactics because it won't help a vast majority of the players, right? You don't just have a player that's, Premier Division, top 10 in the world, and that's providing their tactics to help, maybe the players that are 100th in the world get to top 10. There's players out there that are in Ruby Division that want to just get out of Ruby Division. There's players in FC that are Division 3 that want to get to Division 2. There's players in eFootball that can't for the life of them get from Division 4 to Division 3. And so a player like me that has accomplished that, I can help them and show them what got me there. There's always players that can truly benefit from your guidance, right? And I learned that as a coach. That's where I can provide help, to those players looking for it. And then they simply look at my content and see, does this help me? Does it not? If it doesn't, so be it. If it does, great. But for the UFL side, getting back to the main point of this video, no longer will I be focusing my energy on trying to look at UFL and provide input that can get UFL to the level of another competitive skill-based game, just because at least for now, Strikers has shown they're just not capable of creating a game like that. Doesn't mean that there's not certain players that can benefit from a simplified, less skill-based game like UFL. However, I'm just not going to, look at it anymore as a game that could be that. So, just wanted to put that out there. And either way, I will still be providing content in all three games, just on the competitive side of things. My energy will be focused on the game that is skill-based and that is built for competitive play. So, with that being said, whatever you play, whatever type of player you are, keep grinding, keep having fun, and I'll see you on the next.